Hey everybody, welcome back to Hive Ultimate. Truckstop's offense is currently the top dog. I've seen a few analysts have a bit of trouble trying to wrap their heads around it, so I thought I'd give it a shot myself.
Bo Kittredge and Kirk Gibson and Chris Mazer and Jeremy Langdon and Ben Laurie, and I'm sure there are others that I've forgotten. But Matty was a really valuable player for that team.
I was in the Southeast in Atlanta at the time, and when he was playing in the Southeast, he started playing some club around the Atlanta area, and he had a heck of a reputation.
Monks, tight window throw, and Cole Jurek a bobble.
Now you might expect me to start this video by talking about Truck's pull plays, how they set up sometimes three in the middle, one each side, how they threaten under and deep, what patterns you expect to play from there. But guess what? I'm not going to do that. Their pull plays are okay, like they're fine. They usually get a pass off and they threaten to score as well, which is basically the MO for pull plays. It's nothing to do with what makes their offense so dominant.
One of these teams is not going to be in the Final Four of this tournament.
Truck's short game is very difficult to stop, and as soon as a defender commits underneath, they get punished deep. And their deep throws are so good that it's very high percentage shot.
Athletic group. They're out here to really put some pressure on this technical O-line.
Monks sending Wodach.
The quickness of their passing and their movement in the small ball game makes it very difficult for them to stop. The defenders struggle to lock them down and increase the stall count. And when the stall does increase, they tend to get out of it with a ISO player kind of dancing in the middle in the hat position, who's able to get free quite easily just in a couple of seconds. When they have flow, they maintain it through good spacing between their players, and also awareness and readiness just to take what they're given at any one time.
Back in the hands of Nissen.
This makes it difficult for teams to poach or switch, but also very difficult to stop if marking one-to-one. So what makes their small ball style so effective in particular, and what can defenses do to try to disrupt it? Let's begin by taking a look at the isolated dancing that we quite often see in truck offense, how they get into those positions, and what happens after them. So here we can see Boxley is in the center with enough space to work with, good spacing by all the other players. He pushes forward and then begins the dance, cutting 3 times and receiving a pass in the middle of the field. After the next pass, Truck are basically in a high chance of scoring situation. So let's break it down and look a bit closer. Boxley sees the space open up in the middle and moves forward to occupy it, meeting his previous defender who had poached off. He's going to threaten in these 2 directions where defenders are nearby, but if those defenders poached, then you'd expect the players they poached off to get the discs immediately. The front corner is made available and Boxley threatens it twice, and then just because this defender was aware of Boxley getting the disc, that was enough to open up his mark, meaning that when Boxley gets the disc, it's an immediate attack, which should really result in a goal. In this example, the person that released the disc hangs back, creating enough space for the ISO to work with, then the continuation cutter punishes the poach, and it results in a goal. Here, as the stall rises, the ISO gets in position, the vert stack kind of forms behind them, and he does the dance, gets the disc up the line, and the continuation is easy for a goal. Now this isn't a particularly strange movement. Here it is against Bravo. Player goes onto the break side, and it's a great way of defeating one-to-one close tight coverage. Is just get the disc out onto the break side to a player and then time your continuation cut. We see a lot of teams do this with various success. Once you get the disc over to the break side, then essentially all the players have won that race to the front cone for a goal. It gets a little more interesting when team uses team defense. Now Machine use a lot of team defense, and what they do here is surround the 4 players in the stack whilst marking the ISO one-to-one. They lose track of one of the players in the stack who just runs completely free, and then they take what they're given with the next few passes for the goal.
Not being successfully executed on this position.
Also, when they face looser defense, like against Dig here, they don't work too hard. They're masters of taking what they're given. Boxley will just stand still and receive a pass if he can. Although Boxley is credited with being one of the fastest players in the game, he's also really good at standing still and getting passes. This is a credit to Truck's ability to maintain their shape. As soon as any defenders try to help, the disc can be thrown straight towards their mark, and because all the other players on Truck are connected, then the disc can keep moving quickly, so the poaching is punished really quickly by flow. So if the ISO is marked tightly, then they'll dance and get free and work the disc down the break side, but if they're not marked tightly, then Truck's good shape and connectedness means that when they take that pass, it leads straight to flow. Next, we're going to look closer at the passes Truck make inside their triangles. When the disc is passed inside a triangle of Truck players, there's a great opportunity for flow continuation. In this first example, the opportunity is missed. A quick backhand or a lefty throw and go might have worked, but the opportunity presents itself again when Boxley receives the disc in the centre of the shape. He finds a quick flick, which sets up a second inside triangle pass, from which he's able to receive the disc back and then sustain flow. Boxley passes into the middle and then moves down the sideline. Bonet receives a pass inside the triangle and then is perfectly set up to give go with Boxley down the far sideline. Bravo have to switch to contain the move. Bonet's experience with the fast-flowing ultimate of Europe means that he's the perfect fit for Truck's offense. Here we see a threat to make backwards pass inside the triangle, which draws the defender over and opens up a big window for a goal. The second pass inside the triangle was open, and it certainly would have led to lateral flow, so it's understandable that the defender bites on it. Such a large window behind the force allows the thrower to throw an inside backhand throw, which is a relatively easy one to lead out to space. Defenders trying to stop those inside triangle throws can open up immediate scoring opportunities. Truck tend to run all the way to the sideline on their moves. In this instance, Nissan becomes trapped off the field, not a viable option for the inside triangle continue, but also wisely not crashing the disc or just hanging out way off the sideline. You'll recognise this clip from before. It's a great example of how the ISO dance combined with the inside triangle continuation can be effective. Boxley running out of this throw to boot. Machine doing something different on defense again, leaving Monroe unmarked, which he's able to convert into yards by leading the continuation throw out to space. Taking these instant passes when they're on is great, but how come they get so many opportunities? The key lies with spacing and awareness. Truck players all stay connected, meaning they're close enough to the disc to be passed to immediately, or close enough to other players that they could pass them immediately. They're all aware and ready for the disc to come at any time, so you'll rarely see inactive clearing. This constant awareness and shared focus means that they have less miscommunications, they're all on the same page, and they're able to provide each other with more immediate options. With this clip, you can see how they don't crowd the disc and they don't crowd each other. They hold their shape as the offense essentially rolls up the sideline here. At no point do two Truck players cross over each other or really get close to each other. This makes them much harder to defend. When the disc is near the sideline, you'll often see a player hang back a little bit. They're available for an immediate pass, but they're also creating space on the field. This underrated behind the disc on the sideline positioning gives the thrower a wide angle of options. Having a second player connected also facilitates continuation after a pass. Here we see again, positioning behind and towards the sideline, giving the thrower a wide angle of instant options. One of the most common mistakes on offense is offering the thrower big empty spaces and a narrow angle of instant options when the disc's on the sideline. In this example, Monroe is happy to bring his defender all the way over here, and Boxley is fouled on his throw to the space that's created. This clip starts with a miscommunication throw from Nissan. Bonet makes an insane play to save it. Note how Truck stays spread and are happy to super dump the disc. At this moment they're instantly threatening almost every space in front of the disc and lateral to it. This means that Machine have to spread their defensive coverage over this area too. Truck opt to attack up line with a give go, but a good poach from Machine prevents the pass for the score.
A lot of traffic.
This is a fairly normal reset position, but note how the good shape and spacing from Truck facilitates the flow attack that follows. When all of Truck's players stay connected but maintain spacing relative to each other, then team defense struggles to cover all the threats, and instant throws punish any out-of-position defenders. So what can teams do against this offense? Let's have a look at a few turnovers and near misses. In this clip, Dan DeMarais spots the next pass developing and leaves his assignment to get a poach interception. His awareness means he can move early, and he commits hard to get the disc before the offense. Dan's background in football soccer means that his awareness is higher than the average Ultimate player, which is a topic that we've dived into before.
All looks clean to me. Really?
In this clip, Boxy makes a move up line and Diggs switch to neutralise it. Boxy stutter cuts to the back corner, and yet another Dig defender appears to get the poach D. If we look again, we can see them reacting to Boxy's movements, peeling off their mark early enough to be in position to stop the score. Boxley's movements get the attention of another defender in this clip, but the pass is attempted to the poach player instead and hits the turf. Although it could be called a throwaway or drop, the only reason this pass was attempted was because of the poach opening up this strange angle or strange space on the field. Here we see yet another poach, Joe White seeing it early and being in good position to hoover it up. When we look again, we can see another poach happening first, which White sees and may clue him into what's going to happen next. Another poach block attempt. This time the poach was unsuccessful, but a simple turn on the next lateral pass, not leading the disc out to space. The defender hangs back a bit to bait the throw, accelerating during the release to fool the thrower. Coleman with a similar play here for Bravo, hanging back until the thrower is committing to the throwing motion, and then pouncing to take the baited disc out of the air. Allowing the separation initially here lulls the catcher into being flat-footed, and the thrower into passing directly to them, which opens up the opportunity for the D. Here's a miscommunication which I think is the only example from US Open of Truck's O-line turning due to tight one-to-one coverage. There's also this weird turnover, which for me shows how low the bar is for awareness and communication, even in high-level Ultimate. Two defenders have the same mark, but they don't realise until it's far too late. This defender gets beat deep because they misread what's going on downfield. I want to look back at some of these turns with a critical eye on the defense. Let's look at what some of the other defenders are doing. When DeMarais commits to this move, this defender no longer needs to cover them, and instead they should be looking around elsewhere on the field. DeMarais' previous mark is cutting downfield, and if this pass wasn't a turnover, then this cutter would need to be picked up by another defender, which would leave someone else open who should be covered by DeMarais' original mark, if he was looking around.
Folks who don't appreciate his game enough, the back pulls yesterday.
In this example, at this moment, this defender is in an ideal position to cover the undercut, and their original mark should switch to cover the deeper cut. The switch doesn't actually happen. Instead, it's a flash poach where the defenders return to their original matchups, which is what allows the space for this attempt at the pass. The problem is that team defense is difficult to coordinate and execute, so if it's not done well, it can still generate block opportunities, but it'll also open up significant holes. Here we see machines switching assignments and preemptively covering space, but it leaves the player wide open, and Truck are quickly in power position just outside the end zone. Truck's offense is perfectly set up to punish poachers thanks to the spacing. Here there's a poach for the player at the back, and after the disc moves twice, then the defense are desperately playing catch-up, unable to cover all the threats in time. The timing of their continuation passes isn't difficult to get right because the spacing has already done the hard work. Once a poach leaves a player open, they are already in good position to receive the disc where they're standing, and they already have connected and ready continuation options. Here we see Benet poached on the sideline, in a good position to dish the disc back to the previous thrower, and then Boxley open in the middle with Monroe already in position to receive the open continuation. Here we see Benet initially poached, hitting a connected player who's also being given the under, and then multiple continuations already in place because of the spread spacing. Here their downfield players have stacked up and face surrounding, but even machine surrounding is undertrained and leaves many holes, which Truck exploit easily.
That is not being successfully executed on this possession. Seen a lot of them in pool play at Nationals.
What we're seeing now is the beginning of a new era of offense and defense, as Truck are one of the first teams to integrate all of their players into a spread flow based offense. Big space offense began to crumble when Pony beat Revolver with their team defense in 2019. Truck's spread flow offense fares much better against team defense than Stacks do, and as such it's going to push the evolution of team defense forward. Teams will need to be able to play good team defense to stay competing at the top, and their offense will need to work well against good team defense in order to hold against the best. The ability to stack up and break a mark is still worth keeping in the back pocket for when you face tight 1-to-1D, but if you don't train spread flow offense, then good team defense will shut down your stack, and if you don't train team defense, then a spread flow offense like Trucks will find holes and punish you. Team defense rests upon communication and awareness. Players should be able to coordinate to efficiently neutralise the urgent threats, whilst also covering for each other. Players need to be ready to actively punish offensive mistakes like clustering, players crossing over, inactivity, and predictability. Truck's offense is robust. They trust each other and they take the open passes. Their system is based more around chemistry and spacing than it is plays and patterns. It's their lack of rules and lack of rigidity which makes their offense strong and flexible, but I think it can still be improved with a bit more attention to shape and a bit more focus on creating and executing dribbling opportunities. If defenses are able to punish these minor shortcomings with good team defense and be aware enough to set traps to spring, they could earn a few turnovers. Truck are well set up to punish any miscalculations with quick throws to poach players, so if they're able to be effective with their continuation flow, opponents are going to have a tough time. If you want to know how to train good team defense, or how to train the spread flow style of offense, which can keep you ahead of the curve, then sign up to the Hive Patreon training tier and pay to access the entire archive of drills and exercises and games for you to play. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you again soon.
To settle the game and dictate the pace at which it will be played.
Great point. Because a tremendous group of defenders that